Good morning or good afternoon. My name is Stephen Beecham, and you are tuned in to the hottest podcast on the internet, the Apple Byte Extra Crunchy podcast with your host, Mr. Brian Tong.
Get your brain working. Get your brain working. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Beach and Tong here in the house. Apple Byte Extra Crunchy, episode 95. The podcast for your listening pleasure. All things Apple, all things earthing. Again, this is the show where you all are a part of it. It's an interactive back and forth thing. We live stream it. We YouTube live stream it. We Periscope stream it. But if you want to be a part of the show and be in the show, remember, all you have to do is call us at 1-800-616-2638. 1-800-616-2638. Your name, where you're from. Get right to it. You guys are getting better as we continue to scold you and you learn what you can't do. We're training you. Again, we almost have to do we should do a training session at the end of one of these shows.
Oh, we should produce a video
We've
about
got
how
to.
do it.
We've got to. But again, this is episode 95. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. This is really the gift that keeps on giving. I don't know how many times I can say it, but those Apple leaks, the HomePod firmware from last week, continues to be a treasure trove of everything. And people that keep on messaging me and telling me that it was done on purpose, the damn thing wasn't done on purpose.
Yeah.
There is no way. There's so much stuff. Not only are we talking about iPhone 8 now, people have been digging in more. We have stuff about the new Apple TV for you. We also have stuff about the new Apple Watch for you. All of this rooted from the HomePod firmware release of iOS 11.0.2, which is 2 versions earlier than what they've released publicly anywhere, that it'll enable. And they didn't scrub it of any of those references of some of the new stuff and all the new goodies. So people continue to dig in, developers everywhere, and then reveal all this new stuff. So
I have a question about this.
Yeah, what's up?
So do you think Apple had a meeting after all these leaks? My microphone is screwed up. After all these leaks, do you think they might have had a meeting and said, maybe we need to code name this stuff for future firmware codes and stuff? You know what I mean?
They've actually always codenamed everything. For example, like the Face ID is codenamed Pearl, and it's referenced as Pearl ID in the developer notes. So what a lot of these guys that are digging in is they're looking for similar things they've seen from the previous iPhones. They're going to those same strings, finding new terminology, then searching for that terminology to try and figure out what is it. Like, no, it has been now revealed, like Pearl is basically their Face ID or face recognition platform. We also have things like Gizmo, which is the code name that was kind of leaked out by the New York Times a long time ago that references the new Apple Watch. People start looking for those terms in the new firmware to see what it's related to, and then it surfaces all this good stuff.
Yeah, but I remember this code was like pretty self-explanatory. It was like face detect.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Right,
They
like
type in the
pretty
word
simple.
face and see wherever it shows up as well.
I see.
So Pearl ID related to face detect. So let's jump into the newest stuff because people complain, oh, you get all this stuff late. It's called a weekly show. It's called a weekly podcast. I think that's why we do it weekly. But let's just jump into what is dropped today as of Friday. Some of the new information now is talking about everyone was worried about the delays of the iPhones. Are the new ones going to come on time? Will they come out in September? Will they come out in October? Some outlets were even reporting maybe as late as November. Here's the latest piece that we have right now. All 3 2017 iPhone models, according to Digitimes, have entered volume production ahead of the expected September launch. We don't know when Apple's going to do the official announcement. We'll find out typically a week before they do that, and typically it's been done in early September. That doesn't mean they'll stick to early September. But when they talk about these phones have entered volume production, mass production, large quantities that are going to be able to be fulfilled, all rumors, not only did Digitimes report this, but Ming-Chi Kuo from KGI Securities also talked about how the new 7S and 7S Plus, kind of the standard size phones that we're used to right now, will have more than enough quantity. It's the OLED iPhone 8 / iPhone X / iPhone Future. That is the one that'll be in limited quantities, much like the 7 Plus was with the portrait mode camera this past year. So I think everyone that's worried about when are these coming, they're still on track pretty much. So don't worry.
Like it seems like they're getting on the ball and they're going to make sure that they're going to be on time this time, because the last few releases, can you hear that? That sounds
it's bad.
Terrible.
It's bad.
That's new. That's a new problem, everybody. But yeah, their last few releases have been behind, so they're making sure that they're going to be on point.
All right, so we'll see just how that shakes out. Also, in addition to that news that just dropped today, not only is Apple in volume production, they've been placing orders for this 3D sensing laser component. And so this company or the supplier, they're called Lumentum. They've received over $200 million in bookings for the rest of the 2017 calendar year related to components for what they call vertical cavity surface emitting lasers, VCSEL for short. But these are believed to be aimed specifically for Apple's 3D sensing camera to be used on the iPhone 8. Let's just talk about in comparison in their last fiscal quarter. How much money worth of orders do you think they got if they just received a $200 million in bookings from Apple for the rest of this year? What do you think, Beecham? Don't look at this, or don't look at the story.
I have no idea.
What if I told you it was $5 million?
Wow.
So $5 million to $200 million, a huge jump. We know how this 3D sensor, at least in many ways, is going to play in the whole facial recognition system. We're going to talk about that more in a bit. But this company, Lumentum, they're pretty happy right now.
So it's a laser. It uses a laser detect,
like a depth sensor using lasers.
Wow.
LG's phone has had similar ones for taking photography, where it uses basically a laser to pinpoint the depth of where you are to get a better focal point. Instead of purely just the lens.
How does like Instagram and Snapchat do it when they put those AI filters over those the augmented reality filters over your face? That's just using the camera and little data points.
Using the camera and features. I mean, they don't have exact depth information, but they can still see. It's really more like your facial features. It's not based on depth as much as it is look at my face and being able to build a framework. Here's my eyes, here's my nose, here's my ears, here's my lips.
Yeah, because
like
those are like shockingly fast. Like you put a thing in it, like pops right on.
Yeah,
I imagine that technology is super fast now.
Instagrams are also really bad.
Yeah.
Like they look. My 5-year-old nephew could do better ones than that. It's like, man, that's horrible.
So what's the difference with this? It's gonna blast a laser at our face.
It'll be laser. Being able to have a laser will enable focusing to be extremely fast. It can pinpoint exactly the depth that you're at that moment.
I see. Okay, so it's like measuring the distance between your face.
Exactly,
and the camera.
exactly. So that's where you have these depth sensing cameras. Also, when it's a 3D sensing camera that uses lasers, it can pretty much build a general wireframe of your body, of your shoulders, of your face. Why is that important? If we're talking about more specific augmented reality, to be able to see this versus the surface of this table and to use that's really important.
Yeah, definitely.
So we already have a certain level of sensors in the phone, but nothing this specific. So this is going to be a big deal when it comes to ARKit and other platforms that Apple's implementing into the iPhone. So, all right, let's keep on rolling through kind of some of these other things. Ming-Chi Kuo, we referenced him about how he said that mass production is on time. Also, it appears, according to him, that the 2017 lineup of iPhones will initially only come in 3 colors. His report is that it'll be silver, black, and gold, although there's been kind of this copper-looking model or like a more bronze copper model that's been floating around. He also says that the phones will not only be announced at the same time, but they'll be launching at the same time. And again, it's that OLED iPhone 8/iPhone X/iPhone Future that is believed to be really the one that could be a little slower to arrive just because of lower quantities. So we have that. All right, let's talk about this boatload of recent leaks. Again, from the HomePod firmware. This is stuff that you've kind of collected. If you're on top of this, you've heard about this stuff over the past, really 3 or 4, 5 days or so, but not everyone is. So we want to kind of get you up to speed. The biggest thing is facial recognition. Everyone keeps on saying, oh, why do I have to hold this up to my face? It's going to take longer. It may not be as accurate. We're going to find out exactly what it's like when Apple releases it. But with the facial recognition, according to what people have found in the source code, it could mean that Apple themselves will be able to use facial recognition while your phone is laying flat on a table. While your phone is in different, maybe not your normal standard angles, but instead of you having to lift it up and hold it up to your face, in the developer code, you're going to be able to at least unlock your phone while it's resting on a table. That's what this alludes to, if it's true. Apple themselves is really touting Mark Gurman, right? Rumor, Apple News guru. had also put a tweet out that Apple's really going to try and position this as kind of like this Face ID platform. That's kind of the name that is starting to be used around a lot more commonly. But it'll be faster, it'll be quicker, it'll take more data points from you, not only just, whether it's a combination of iris recognition, 3D detection of your face. Also, in the early reports, there was some level of being able to tell that you're actually a live, living being, right? Whether it's like ticks or some, subtle movements in how you are. So you couldn't just hold up a photo and it would unlock it. I think that's the number one thing everyone just says instantly, like, you're going to be able to hold up a photo and lock it. It's not the case.
It has to detect like blood flow or something. Through your face.
Even with Samsung's iris scanning, you had to take a photo and then put on a contact lens over that photo and then hold that photo up to it. And it didn't mean it would always work, but it wasn't just like holding up a photo for it to unlock.
Yeah.
It wasn't that easy. I mean, there's ways to make it more difficult, but it just wasn't that easy. So the whole idea is, if it is really as fast, people internally, according to Mark Gurman, say this Face ID or facial recognition is going to be extremely fast. We'll see. If it's fast enough, I don't think people will care.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me when you're saying different angles and stuff like that. It kind of reminds me when you're first, inputting a fingerprint into your phone, then it makes you do like different edges of your finger and stuff, so you can kind of get it all down really quick, and then you can kind of just half-ass it and get into your phone easily. That's kind of similar, huh?
Yeah, it's just, there'll be some sort of level of initial calibration.
Yeah.
But again, the whole idea of if I pick up my phone and by the time I get to like 30 degrees, if it can already unlock, that's fast enough, right?
Yeah.
It does. If I have to go all the way to 90, that's going to be a different story. But if it does it like around 30, 45 degrees, where my arm is at compared to where I pick it up from, that's going to be fast enough. And I don't think people are going to really care as much. But this is all speculation that we're talking about.
I know. Yeah. It has to be very fast. You can't I hope you don't have to like stare at it for a second and then it comes on. And then also like taking off, we've talked about this before, taking off sunglasses or whatever, if you're wearing a hat or something weird. Who knows? We're going to find out.
We will. This is the thing, right?
Sure,
We've got
we'll
about a month and a half out before we really find out everything. But because if there was not this leak by Apple that everyone says when it was intentional, but it's not, we wouldn't have as much stuff to talk about. But there's so many nuggets. Like in relationship to the facial recognition system, new reports, again, found within the code are talking about how this will likely work with Apple Pay.
So there was a voicemail about how that would work. And I'm curious how I've been using Apple Pay here too at the vending machine a lot. And, I'm curious how that's going to work.
I just double tap it. I hold it and it's good. So the thing is, you may not even have to hold, other than do some sort of gesture on the phone, maybe you're going to be good to go. So even there might be a signal that's sent from that point of sale unit that already activates the fact that prompts Apple Pay to show up. Your face is just there, and then it just does it too. Yeah,
I've been doing like the double tap, and then it asks for a thumbprint to authorize, and then tap the.
See, the iPhone 7 is so fast that you don't even have to redo the fingerprint.
I'm on the 6S, so I have to do the fingerprint.
Yeah, you are slow.
I'm way behind, bro. Catch me up.
I'm trying to help you out, man. Trying to help you out. Get on that iPhone 8 gravy train. I think also what I've noticed is as time has gone on, even though there's a lot of leaks about this, a lot of people are genuinely excited about the new iPhone coming out now. It's like that first, you're going to have the naysayers like that say, oh, Samsung did it, yes. Android did it, yes. But the thing about it is if you haven't had a feature on your phone and then you all of a sudden have it for the first time on your phone, guess what? It's going to feel new to you. And guess what? You're not going to really care.
Yeah.
Like portrait mode, people went bonkers about portrait mode. And we've seen phones that have been able to shoot relatively, depth of field type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? When it's new to your phone, you're like, oh, and guess who sells hundreds of millions of phones? It's Apple.
Apple, baby.
Also, another report says, this one coming from developer Guilherme Rambo, who really was the first one to kind of break the news on the HomePod firmware leak. The iPhone 8 may mute notification sounds when the user is actually looking at the screen, which alludes to the fact that this kind of facial recognition, facial detection in a creepy way might be passively always happening.
So it's always looking, huh?
Yeah, it's always looky.
That's what people are most uncomfortable about, like Alexa's always listening, or
it is.
Siri's always listening, or this is always, Everything's always on now.
You got if you want to be plugged in, if you want to be part of the future.
That sounds like a battery problem to me. The camera's always watching what's happening.
It might be. I mean, we'll see what type. We'll see how they handle all this stuff. That's the other issue, right? A lot of new sensors, new technology. Is the battery life going to be the same? It's probably the only way that they really are able to squeeze out a lot of battery life these days is when they optimize the operating system. They're not putting a bigger battery in this thing. In fact, they're putting like kind of some sort of like an L-shaped battery rumored into this phone. So even if it's an L-shaped battery and you get like a little bit, it's really more about the optimization of the OS because these phones are getting thinner. They're not getting thicker. So there's not as much space for these batteries. So we'll see how that all shakes out. And then also to kind of play on with this whole wireless charging aspect of the new iPhone, pictures allegedly leaked from an employee from Foxconn are screen grabs of an iPhone in its rumored iPhone 8, in its final verification test stage. All right, this is called engineering validation test. The code name of this product in the top corner, it says Ferrari EVT. Ferrari is referenced as the internal code name for the iPhone 8.
Oh, yeah.
So it looks like we're looking exactly at it, and that there's a big black dot in the center. And really what that big black dot is the coil for the wireless charging capability of the iPhone.
Oh, okay.
So it's this charging coil that that's the money spot where you have to like put it on some sort of a dock to then get you your wireless charging functionality.
I think it's cool they're like calling it the Ferrari. It's like the Ferrari of
internally, yeah. I mean, they should just call it the iPhone Future. They should just call it Future. So it's pretty good. I think we should just take a little breather because I've heard that we should probably read something today.
Do it.
Should we do that?
Yeah.
Should we keep our show alive? Let's check it out. Jamf Software. Today's show brought to you from our friends at Jamf Now, JAMF. As your business grows, so does your supply of tech equipment, and as a result, it gets harder to keep track of everyone's Macs and iPhones and iPads. Thankfully, Jamf Now helps you manage your Apple devices from anywhere. So, keeping up with your equipment is a breeze. Need to secure that iPad that your sales rep lost on a recent business trip? Shame on them. Jamf Now allows you to configure settings, protect sensitive information, even lock or wipe a device no matter where you are. That way you can focus on your business without any IT expertise needed. I know the IT guys here use Jamf.
Do they really?
Yeah, a lot of businesses and companies do, quite honestly. You just didn't realize it.
This would be killer for like a small startup, like a small group of people.
Yeah, and it's for Apple devices. You can even Jamf an Apple TV, in case you didn't know.
That's pretty
So
dope.
check it out. Our listeners can set up their first 3 devices for free. Add more for just $2 a month per device. Start securing your business today. Go to jamf.com/crunchy to create a free account and set up your 3 free devices today. That's jamf.com/crunchy. You got that?
Got it.
You got it? Got him. All right, let's jump into more stuff coming out to you from the firmware leaks. You want to talk about, we haven't talked about the Apple TV in the longest time.
Yeah.
Because the only time that the Apple TV really comes up is if it has to do with the fact that Apple never was able to get their ish together and give us a streaming TV service of any kind in any way, shape, or form. We'll talk about some of the streaming stuff later, a.k.a. Disney and
You mean like
Netflix.
every other company has managed to do?
Oh, yeah.
Like
Easily.
every PGA Tour has one.
Easy.
Disney's going to have one.
Easy peasy. I mean, there's 4 or 5 companies that have their own TV streaming service with relationships with the major networks, but guess what? The Big A couldn't do it. Oh, well, they're lost now, right? I mean, that's all on them. So what we have here in the code again for the firmware of the HomePod, there's been references which reveal the fact that a new upcoming Apple TV will have most likely 4K HDR support.
Nice.
There were strings in the code that said display mode, Dolby, and display mode HDR10. That's really direct references to Dolby Vision and HDR10. Those are the 2 formats for 4K video, depending on your television set. Some support both. I believe, for example, LG TVs and Vizio TVs support Dolby Vision and HDR10. Some TVs only support HDR10 because it's software based, and Dolby Vision is actually like a chip-based kind of system and partnership and licensing agreement that you can go through. But if I recall right, my brain could be wrong. I swear that they kind of changed some of the terms with Dolby Vision, that in the future it'll be done also software based. If I'm wrong, you guys can correct me. But that makes it easier to put on TVs.
When I hear Dolby, I think like 5.1 sound. Is that allow for that? For 5.1 sound.
Oh, not only does it allow for 5.1 sound, it allows for a Dolby Atmos sound as well. So here's the thing. Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos are their own two proprietary formats that are then licensed to certain companies. So if you look on the back of some of the Blu-rays you buy, or if you buy the 4K Blu-rays, there's actually just standard Blu-ray discs. You will see a little logo that says Dolby Atmos on it, and that's that. But then again, look, you have to have not only a Dolby Atmos disc, you have to have a Dolby Atmos compatible receiver, and then you have to have a Dolby Atmos system, which is basically like a 5.1.2 system.
That's a lot of
5
hardware,
surround sound speakers, a subwoofer, and then 2 ceiling firing speakers, which I have.
So this, do you have that?
Oh, I'm all about it,
man. That's a lot of hardware, man.
It is, but Dolby Atmos is redonk at the home.
So then this leak is kind of alluding to you can have 4 HomePods in your house or 5 HomePods.
Well, I don't think it's actually not related to having 4 or 5 HomePods. It's just more related to that the Apple TV as a device will support 4K video.
Okay.
And the 2 4K, you know how there was like HD DVD and Blu-ray for a long time? There were 2 different formats, but they both displayed 1080p Blu-ray video. Or sorry, 1080p video. This is the same thing. HDR10 and Dolby Vision are technically competing standards, but they're starting to now be readily adopted by all companies.
Oh, I see.
But there's some hardware that only, like there's some TV sets, like I believe Samsung only supports HDR10, but then future ones ideally would support Dolby Vision and HDR10. They all have their kind of like different optimizations. I could get into it and get really nerdy.
It's like one of those format wars that's happening
but
right
most
now,
people don't even see it. It's invisible to them. So anyways, the Apple TV expected to support some of this, which would be a huge deal. Also later, to touch on more Apple TV support, Stephen Tround-Smith, another huge big-time developer, was able to crack into the TV OS simulator, which kind of displays what is going on if people use it for their apps and whatnot, of how they look, and they can simulate this at home. He was also able to find, thanks to some of the code options, for a resolution of 3840 by 2160, which is ding, ding, ding. That is 4K video.
Boom.
So look, we don't know when this Apple TV is coming. It could be coming. I got to hope that it's coming by the end of the year. Apple could have a huge holiday season if they just drop a bomb, give us the new iPhones, come around October, give us a new Apple TV and Apple Watch. Just drop it on us already.
It's all starting to work together and be merry.
The momentum has taken a long time to build, but it's getting there. It's getting there. So that's kind of the latest that we have with Apple TV news. Again, no word of any type of Apple service. By now they're just not going to do it. There's so many different options. There's 5 Hulu has their own TV service, YouTube has their own TV service, Sling TV has their own service, PlayStation Vue has their own TV service. Those are the big 4.
All the major
cable
companies
4.
have their own.
Everyone now has their own platform, their own app.
Sports.
So yeah, just
CBS. Let's not forget our favorite, CBS.
I'm just gonna leave that right there. All right, let's talk about some Apple Watch. Again, new stuff revealed from the freaking firmware. Originally earlier last week, Bloomberg and our friend Mark Gurman dropped the bomb with an in-depth report about the fact that Apple is planning to release a cellular-capable LTE-based Apple Watch, the Series 3 Apple Watch, sometime this year. The big thing about that really is that last year there were rumors that Apple was going to actually do an LTE-based Apple Watch, but they didn't. The problem was really optimizing battery life. Did they want to just put an LTE chip in there and just kill your battery life? They weren't able to tweak it or get it good enough, so they opted not to do it. We don't know how much better the battery optimization has been able to be improved. I've got to imagine to a certain degree also just watchOS in general, but watchOS is like really light. The main thing about this LTE Apple Watch is the idea that it will give us kind of that free independency from our phone. the more I use the Apple Watch and the phone, well, if my Apple Watch is charged, like, see, look, again, fashion statement. It's just not even charged. But the more that we use the Apple Watch on its own, this is really more, I think, for people that are active runners on the go. I think people are going to freak out and feel naked without their phones for a while. Again, we're going to move in the future, like way, way down the future, we're going to move to a point where we don't really have the phone that we know is not going to be the phone, right? Yeah. But, that first time you go out and you just have an Apple Watch, I think it's going to be kind of cool, but it's going to freak you out too.
Yeah, you're going to pair it
I think you're going to be scared. I think you're going to have anxiety. This is first world problem stuff right here.
You're used to that little weight in your pocket.
There's got to be some first world therapists out there that are going to have to deal with these anxiety issues that y'all are going to get. It's just inevitable.
Yeah.
So anyways, Mark Gurman just talked in depth about the plan to release the cellular capable watch. It will be using an Intel-based modem, so that's the rumor, that it'll have an Intel-based modem for that, not a Qualcomm modem. And that is also kind of interesting because if you've been following some of the news, there's a lot of beef between Apple and Qualcomm, specifically suing each other over different uses or different patents, blah, blah, blah. They're going back and forth, and they're not really friends right now. They're beefing, bottom line. Intel and Apple aren't. But then if you remember when the new iPhone 7 came out, there were proof, just positive proof that an Intel-based modem for the iPhone 7 was not performing as well as Qualcomm-based modems.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the phone, like to get
that's right,
cellular connectivity, faster rates, better signal. I know I have an Intel-based one, and I know the signal on my phone is not nearly as good as it used to be for an iPhone 6S.
That's right.
I know this
that
for
story.
a fact.
It's kind of a controversy.
Yeah, and then also Qualcomm was complaining that Apple's actually throttling down their modems so that the performance would be even or relatively around the same as the Intel-based modems.
I forgot all about that. That's crazy.
All this like inside baseball stuff. So guess what? They're not happy, but Apple is looking to use Intel-based modems for the new Apple Watch. Inside the latest code, there were also references to an LTE-based modem for the Apple Watch. So that's going to happen, but we don't know when. It's got to come out by the end of this year, though, I would assume. Yeah. I would assume. So
it's exciting, though, so you can finally make calls from your Apple Watch. I mean, that's an exciting move forward.
This is going to give more momentum for AirPods, quite honestly, because I don't want to talk to my wrist.
I know, right?
Right? I'm not going to talk to my wrist.
Yeah.
I'm not that. I'm sorry, I'm not that guy who's going to do that. Although people are saying my shirt might indicate otherwise.
It's very James Bondish, though. It would be kind of cool.
Yeah. It's like
not your shirt, the talking.
Yeah,
your wrist.
I was like, wait, my shirt? I don't know. This is not subtle at all. This is like, what are you doing with that pink camo shirt, bro? All right, let's keep on rolling through the rest of this. We also have just kind of a quick update note. The 5th betas for iOS, macOS, and tvOS have been related in watchOS. Basically, for developers, they put out the 4th public beta. So if you guys want to get on that and just kind of play around and tweak with it, that's fine. It's the latest version of the software. It's not final. I still love the iPad beta, but for some reason I can't connect to the works corporate Wi-Fi anymore.
Oh no.
And I think it's because of the beta. But that's okay. That's okay. I'm really sad about that. Another story, this has kind of been always going on, but we haven't had any concrete data. According to the Financial Times, Apple is working on, surprise, surprise, like they do with every product, several different kinds of wearable augmented reality prototypes. It's trying to find out the most compelling application for a AR augmented reality headset. Look, they're going to learn so much from ARKit and the iPhone in these next few years. I think that's really going to drive their direction of how they can use these glasses. Just remember that this year, what was it? I mean, it's been shows ago, but when everyone's like, what could be the next big thing from Apple? Like, what could be that product? I think if it's going to be anything, and it's not going to be this year or next year or maybe 2 years, it could be a pair of Apple glasses.
Yeah,
that is the only thing that I think that they can get ahead of everyone, like actual glasses, not straight up like crazy big chunky headsets, and they're not trying to go for virtual reality. We know they're not. But if there was a product that maybe it could be their next thing, could be, I think that would be the thing. It's not going to be a car. It's
No.
not going to be like it's not going to be the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch is good. It's not great. It's not like everyone's going crazy over the Apple Watch.
Well, we saw people go crazy over the Snapchat glasses. They did go
for a
crazy.
week.
Yeah, for
Until
for a
they
little
used
while.
them.
Well, I think that has a lot to do because their marketing like really sucked. Like they put like a vending machine out one place for a day.
The
It was just
Snapchat
terrible.
The Snapchat glasses had a lot of buzz, but then when you use them constantly, like I used them for a little while just to see what it was all about, and then you're like, okay, like it's all right. It's a cool idea. They kind of set it focused to one specific thing, taking little video clips that you could rotate your phone 360. And again, the tech world can get seduced by like the newest hottest thing, but I've seen now these Snapchat distribution boxes, just like a big yellow rectangle in the Southern California area at a major mall on a Saturday or Sunday where no one's in line for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
But, like,
also they're like around 150, 170
they're
bucks
really
or something like that.
expensive, yeah.
So this is not something that everyone is really doing yet because it was a very limited specific use case, and that's good. That's actually a smart thing to do. But then you don't see all these Snapchatters using Snapchat, and guess what? Guess who is scooping on Snapchat? It's Instagram.
Oh, big time.
Once
Big
Instagram
time.
took on that story thing, people are on Instagram more than they're on Snapchat. Snapchat's stock is dropping like a tank because people just aren't using it. They're not making enough money. They talk about all these original shows on Snapchat, all this new content. But guess what? Like, people are just doing their stuff on Instagram now.
So the Apple AR glasses will probably have apps like any other product they have, right? You just download an app.
Yep.
Like I got my Instagram app, I got my Snapchat, I got my blah blah blah.
I know. I mean, look, my niece uses Snapchat all the time with her friends, but I'm just saying, whether it's the millennial generation, I don't even know what you call the generation that's even younger than millennials now. That's where she's at. They're using it, but it doesn't mean it's a large enough segment or cross section of the population. Like Instagram, she ended up jumping on Instagram because people are, even the young folks. When I say young folks, I'm talking about like 12, 13-year-old.
Yeah.
They're starting to jump over too a little bit. So.
Totally.
We'll see. I think the whole idea of Apple glasses is interesting. We saw what happened to Google Glass, but that was like a beta product that they tried to release and announce as a publicly viable product, which was completely just a huge disconnect. So, and I'm not going to wear Apple glasses aren't for me. I don't wear glasses, man.
Yeah.
I know they're not for me, but I mean, I know some of y'all that wear like glasses without the lens.
Hipsters.
So they're going to be the ones that are buying the Apple glasses because that's what they do.
Cool.
That's what y'all do. All right. Two other quick little notes. Carpool karaoke finally on Apple TV. Finally, carpool karaoke. It won't have James Corden all the time, but they're sometimes matching celebrities together. Like we got Alicia Keys and John Legend. They did like Metallica and another singer.
Oh, Metallica.
They'll have like, so, it just depends. I'm sure they're going to drop in Corden here and there just so people feel like, oh, it's actually the thing. It's the series. I know like Will Smith is doing stuff with them and stuff like that. But for Apple Music subscribers, you can now check it out on Apple Music. I'd like to know what you guys think. I still don't have an Apple Music subscription service because it's just not my bag, baby.
Yeah, it looks very, I don't know. They weren't even in a car for a minute there. They were in a
Carpool karaoke is,
laundry.
yeah, they're going to be doing like other things. So
I might watch the Will Smith one. I like Will Smith.
that would require you to pay for Apple Music just to see Will Smith's carpool karaoke segment. You sure you're going to do that? I'm
As
just
long as he
wondering.
does summertime. Summer,
I'm just wondering.
summertime.
And I'm also curious, like, did they make an agreement where they could actually put some of this stuff on TV because of, or maybe like eventually they'd put it on TV?
Oh yeah, if it's like
Because not everyone can watch this.
If it's a really good segment,
Yeah.
Corden's gonna want it for
If
his
it's
show.
Corden and Will Smith, why isn't that on a network? Why isn't that on network TV?
Yeah, I guess
It's got to trickle out there eventually.
Yeah.
And then because Disney and Apple and their relationship with Pixar, and there's a lot of cross-pollination there between the groups, I thought this was interesting and maybe what it might mean or point to for the Apple TV and what type of services we might see on there. The latest report from CNBC is that Disney is going to pool its movies from Netflix and will eventually start its own streaming services. Now, you have to remember, Netflix just got Disney content in 2016.
Oh wow, they just did, huh?
Because they signed an agreement so that Disney movies would be on there. And then I was like, I'm kind of like, I thought it was crazy because Civil War. Yeah, I know it's been like a year, but when Civil War, Captain America: Civil War showed up on my Netflix, I was like, dang, like that's kind of crazy. Movies like The Jungle Book showed up. Like I felt like 6 months after they were in the theaters. When you saw that, I was like, whoa. And there's a lot of people that don't see them. Look, Disney is going to pull out from Netflix in sometime in 2018. So it's not like Disney is just pulling all their content out right now. But what they announced is that they are not only intending to pull this out of Netflix, but they will launch their own Disney direct-to-consumer streaming service in 2019. So it'll be like
smart.
the home. And you know why they did this, right? They were like, oh crap, look at the data. Look at how many they have stream numbers of how many people are watching Disney stuff on Netflix.
Oh, hell yeah.
And they're like,
yeah,
we're going to pull out of this and just do it ourselves.
And it's almost like they seeded the public a little bit too. Like, oh, we'll sprinkle some Disney shows out there, see how it does.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, whoa. It did really well. Let's make our own.
Because they have their animation networks. They have Disney XD. Not that I know.
Dude, they got Marvel, Star Wars.
Yeah, Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, Disney. It's like the Fab Four.
Yeah.
You don't. That's all you need. You just put there somewhere else. Have someone pay what, $7-8 a month?
I hope it's that cheap. Because HBO now is like 15.
I'm just trying to throw it out there. Yeah, $7-8 Disney. You want to hook a brother up?
Yeah.
$7-8. So the thing is that they're going to be splitting off, but it'll be interesting to see. Will they? Most likely they'll have this service available on all devices, not just the Apple TV. But I find it interesting because it's just showing how the world of streaming content from actual companies that are big enough, they're just completely fragmenting off and just saying, we're going to do it ourselves.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's doing that now, and it's like, divide and conquer. I guess everyone's just dividing all their content up and putting it out in different ways. So,
well, if you don't watch sports, it's really easy to cut the cord.
Yes.
And so what I also find interesting is that not only is Disney pulling out from Netflix, they also said early in 2018, they're going to launch their own ESPN streaming service that will include sports games like MLB, NHL, and MLS content.
That's pretty cool.
So, but the thing is, like, I need my NBA, yo. Like,
yeah.
If there's no NBA, I don't even care about that. Like, come on. Warriors!
Yeah, I didn't hear any PGA Tour on that list, so I don't even care.
Who
cares?
But doesn't the PGA Tour have their own app that they stream all their events?
Yeah, it's like $5 a month.
Even the ones on CBS? Like the Masters and stuff?
Every PGA Tour event they
really?
Stream. Yeah. But the Masters, gets CBS. Different providers get it. Like USA has like US Open, or actually Fox has US Open. USA has the PGA Champ.
Got it.
So yeah, it gets divided up. But I'm curious to see how they would do that.
Yeah. All right. I think we're good to get to calls.
That's it, man.
Yeah. Again, everybody that loves to check in and hang out with us, the phone number to call is 1-800-616-2638. This is the Apple Byte Extra Crunchy, and you can just call in with your name, where you're from, and then we'll get into your stuff and just talk with us, just hang out with us.
Yeah, and keep it short and sweet. It's the best. All right, here we go.
Hey, how's it going? This is Adam. Big fan of the show. Anyhow, I had a question. So, with the new iPhones coming out, the regular edition and then editions, I should say, and then the anniversary, is it true that both will use face recognition instead of Touch ID? I was just kind of wondering because it's been kind of I'm just hearing a lot of conflicting reports about that stuff. Anyhow, thanks for taking my question and have a good day. Bye.
I think the honest answer is we still don't exactly know, but the expectation is that the iPhone 8 will be using the new face detection, and then the iPhone 7S and 7S Plus will still have Touch ID.
Yeah.
And will be obviously cheaper. That'll be one of the distinguishing features that make them different from each other than the screen, other than potentially the camera, and then as well as this quote-unquote, we don't have an official name for it yet, Face ID versus Touch ID. It just remains to be seen not only how different it is, but how well it works. But all indications that the 7S and 7S Plus will still use Touch ID, but no one has outright really clarified that. But look, they have a physical home button just like the 7. So just think of everything your 7 does and maybe a few improvements if it comes to processor, things of that nature. But there's not going to be wireless charging on a 7S. Maybe they'll surprise me, but there's not going to be wireless charging. So all those goodies are going to bump up to the 8.
Yeah, the consensus in our YouTube chat seems to be the Touch ID will be gone.
On the 7S and 7S Plus?
No, on the iPhone 8.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty much
it's like all the stuff that was leaked. I mean, I'll shave my head if there's Touch ID on the iPhone 8.
Oh, you heard it here. He'll shave his head. You know what would be cool is if you shaved your head and there was still like a streak on your skin, on your scalp. That would explain.
Well, look, curtains match the carpet. Beecham.
Okay, next call.
Too much information.
Let's move on.
Hey, Brian. Hey, Beach. Love the show. You guys have some great chemistry. So I have 2 questions. My first question, and this is related to a possible Apple October event. So we all know that September will probably be devoted to new iPhones. So my question is, do you think that an October event might be reserved for maybe an introduction of a new Apple TV or an iWatch, or what do you think it will be devoted to? Second question, and this is related to the MacBook Pro. So I have to admit, I hate the Touch Bar. And I was wondering, do you think that Apple might release a 15-inch MacBook Pro without Touch Bar in the future? And also, do you think that the Touch Bar might be phased out in future MacBook Pro models? Okay, so my name is Miro. I'm from New York City. And thank you very much. Bye.
Okay, that was like 4 questions. That wasn't 2. So yeah. I'm gonna try and break this down based on my memory. So yes, we kind of talked about it. There's got to be some sort of event. Now, how about this? I hope there is for the Apple TV. There will be no event for the iWatch because the iWatch is not a product that Apple produces. It's called the Apple Watch. I'm just messing. I'm such a d-bag.
I caught that too.
I'm such a jerk.
What's that?
You know, we'll talk for like on a show like this for 45 minutes, and guess what? You're gonna sometimes slip and say wrong things. I think last week I said field of depth when describing the portrait mode instead of depth of field.
I think people got what you.
I got crapped on. I got crapped on.
That's what Twitter's for. Thanks,
exactly.
Guys.
I mean, Twitter's always right. No one makes a mistake other than the people that get yelled at on Twitter. So Apple Watch, without a doubt, we're going to see it this year, unless
October. He's asking. Is it in October?
Yeah, sure. Why not? But if they're coming full, if 2017 is this badass year that they talk about, they should just drop it all there. The only reason why I would see an Apple Watch getting moved to next year is just purely because of battery optimization issues. But I don't think delaying it for a few months is really going to make that much of a difference.
Yeah.
If they're using the same size battery, I don't think it'll make that much of a difference. The other question about the 15-inch MacBook Pro with a touch bar, without a touch bar, I wanted them to give us that option from the start, but the reason why I don't ever see them doing that yet, unless the touch bar gets such horrible feedback that they completely killed, is that based on if you look at the price points of the MacBook Pro family, it's very deliberate that the 13 has a no touch bar option, then a touch bar option, and then if you go large and you go 15, it's going to have a touch bar. It's more, that's strategic to pricing. They don't want you to buy something like $100, $200 in between the 13-inch touch bar and a 15-inch touch bar. They just want you to spend more money and get the 15-inch touch bar. So that's just pure from a business strategy, economics reason is why I don't expect to see it. Do I want a 15-inch with no touch bar? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know how damn annoying it is to change the volume or the brightness on your computer?
I haven't even tried it, but that sounds annoying, just you even like bringing that up.
Like, you can't just tap it. You got to touch it and scroll it. I mean, yeah, you can custom make like a default touch bar, but it's like, and then there's no haptic feedback on it, so it just feels weird to touch it. It just feels weird. So
we got another voicemail that we didn't use today, and he was talking about how much he hated the touch bar. So you're not alone, BT.
Someone in the Periscope's all asking, is there any expectation for a new iPad Pro anytime soon? Come on, they just released iPad Pros.
That's
like,
funny.
I'm sorry, right now, as of today, the iPad Pro is my favorite Apple device of the year with iOS 11, hands down.
Cool.
I feel like I could talk about it for ages, but I'm not going to because like 2 of you use it. Okay.
All right, next call.
Next call.
Hey, Beach and Tong. This is Brian from New Orleans. With all the leaks coming out about the face detect, instead of using Touch ID, intriguing. It's neat, and I know we don't know exactly how it's going to work yet. But one thing that I'm a little nervous, I guess I'll use that term about, is not necessarily just unlocking the phone, but authenticating for payments. So I just think it'll be pretty awkward if you're holding your phone up to a vending machine or something like that. To have to make sure you're holding the phone up for the near frequency to work, and then also kind of positioning your face. It's just really easy and elegant just to hold your thumb up against the Touch ID sensor and complete the purchase. So obviously we're waiting for Apple to show us and tell us how that will work. But if there's no Touch ID at all, I wonder if that will affect the Apple Pay usage in any way. Love to hear what you think. Thanks. Bye.
I think without a doubt, look, someone who uses Apple Pay on a regular basis with an iPhone 7 that's faster than Beecham's iPhone 6S.
Yeah. I have to do one more tap, yes.
For someone who uses it, it is super convenient because you just like hold it right on the spot. But again, if this Face Unlock is and this Face ID platform is as fast as Apple internally thinks it is and is bragging about and can actually detect your face at all different angles, then that remains to be seen. Again, until we actually use it, we just don't know. So I can't comment. But if it's faster, then even putting your finger in any kind of position, then that's faster.
If it's like a double tap to open,
not even a double tap.
Wallet.
What if I just pick it up and because it's within proximity of a POS system that pings it, it just
so it'll automatically open Apple Wallet
and it can see my face from its angle. That's like, okay, we'll see. I'm like making up the idea that it's really gonna work like that, but come on. Someone was asking, should I buy in the chat? Should I buy an Apple Watch right now or wait? You should wait. Just
wait to get the one you can make a call on, man.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I'm curious what the LTE cost would be per month.
Probably standard, like $15, $20 for 1 gig, 65 for
gig.
65 for unlimited data.
Fast.
They're gonna do that. Come on. But on a watch, it may not go as fast.
Yeah.
On a watch, it may not go as fast.
True.
It's gonna be basically a cell phone plan for your watch.
Yeah.
And then if you already have, I think the key that they're gonna try and work on is adding it to your current plan without making you pay like a full $65-$80. Maybe you pay $40. It's like, this is what they're going to do. They're going to charge you like not the same amount as a brand new device. You'll pay a little more, but then with that amount more that you pay, it's not like you're going to get a ton more data. It'll be like, oh yeah, this will work with your current plan and we'll give you like an extra gig of data.
Just for your watch.
Yeah. It's going to be like that.
Work. Yeah, I guess I don't know.
It's going to be something stupid like it's going to be something stupid like that. We already can tell.
That's going to be a whole thing that we're going to have to break down one day, and it's going to take a lot of thinking. Okay, next call.
Yo, Brian, we've seen you and your girl chilling on vacation, going to Philly and going to all these places, and I have a large group of people that just need to know they can't sleep if you took all them pictures with your iPad Pro 12.9 inch.
Oh,
we have to know. And side note, for the win, I think the new iPhone is going to be called either the iPhone Pro or iPhone Edition. All right, yo, have a good one.
Man, homie didn't leave his name.
Oh yeah,
but that was funny stuff. For the record, I have yet to take a picture with the iPad Pro in public.
Oh wow. Do you do it at your house though, like around your home?
I've used it to make movies,
make videos. Cool. But you won't go out in public.
Grown-ups. That was a horrible grown-up joke. No. I've taken pictures with like my nieces and nephews for fun, but not like straight up use it as a damn camera in public. We all know how I feel about that.
Yeah, that's a no.
We all know how I feel about that.
Big no-no.
And I like to take pictures of people who are taking pictures with their iPad. It's just the worst. It's the worst.
That's funny.
And they make the cameras better and better for them every time. It just encourages these lame-os.
I know.
All right.
That's it, man. That's all we got. That's all we got.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, we're pretty much back in effect. We've been on vacation for a while, so we're getting our rhythm back with us. But sometimes, we'd rather do a show in the studio together because it's just a better back and forth vibe.
Totally.
Then
Skype is always a little distant.
Yeah, it's just no matter what. You can't I can't peer into your eyes and read what you're thinking.
I always look at you in this monitor over here, so we don't really make eye contact a whole lot.
We should work on that. All right, so that's going to do it, everybody. Again, if you'd like to be a part of the show, call us at 1-800-616-2638. You can always just tweet us your questions. Just use like the hashtag ABXC. You get it? Apple Byte Extra Crunchy. We'll train you guys to do that so you guys can start asking questions in the show. Sometimes it's easier for us to see it that way. But beyond that, be safe. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of the week until we see you next time. Peace!